Welcome to ConvHERsations with Kristie, brought to you by Herverse, a community where women who lead, build, and grow come together. This is a space for real, unscripted conversations with bold leaders who are creating impact. No fluff, no filters, just honest insights to help you lead well and live fully. Because at Herverse, we believe leadership isn't meant to be done alone. I am confident you are going to love it. So let's get started.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Heather House. I'm an executive leadership consultant, COO, integrator, and someone who believes that women who are in second in command seats are the quiet architects of real change.
And I'm Dunya Daikhi, a founder and visionary of Coaching with Dunya, helping female entrepreneurs build and scale their online businesses. Together, we've spent the past week soaking in all the energy, the laughter, and all the insights from the FEM Summit.
And today, we get to sit down with a woman who made it all possible, the powerhouse behind Herverse and the FEM Summit, Kristie Clayton.
Thank you all. I'm excited to have you interview me today.
Well, Kristie, it's the Monday after Summit, and I know I spoke with you a little bit about this, but the emotions are still high, stories are still fresh, and this conversation is all about reflection, storytelling, and sisterhood.
Kristie, we're so excited that you're here. How are you feeling now that the summit has wrapped?
I am feeling like my heart is overwhelmed with just joy and gratitude and just this amazing feeling of knowing that all of these women came together and really had true impact with one another. So just an incredible amount of joy. I feel like my cup is runneth over.
Kristie, what's the moment that's still replaying in your mind from the summit?
I think there's two that really stood out to me. One is after we did our personal vision planning session, which was powerful and it was so fun, and we heard a few women share their stories. There was one person in particular who came up to me afterwards as I was sprinting to go to the bathroom. She said, "Can I follow you?" And I said, "Yes, of course, we can talk and walk." And she said, "I just want to let you know that this has changed my life. Sitting in this personal vision planning session, I've made the decision to be sober." And, you know, when we think about Summit, we oftentimes think about just the big learning that we get to, the learning that we get to have when speakers are sharing tools and resources on how to be a bigger and better and business, and, you know, how we can grow and develop as leaders, and, you know, all of the great things that we learn from one another. But it's moments like this where someone says, "This has changed my life." That is always the most touching for me, because if we can have this impact where we're in a space together where we're growing and learning and our businesses are getting bigger and better, but then we have these personal moments too, to be able to share with one another how we're going to really take this information and apply it to our personal lives as well. It really truly is like a holistic, we call it, you know, it's a whole human being, and it's a whole human experience. And for me, that's what this really truly was. I think the other one that really stood out to me that just keeps replaying in my head is the women who so bravely and vulnerably and authentically shared their stories about where they are in their journey with being, you know, moms, or, you know, with young children, or, you know, those that are now in school. A couple, you know, shared that they were unable to have children, and then what it's like to be, you know, post children, right? Where you're now an empty nester. And, you know, hearing their stories, I heard so many people, you know, whispering that it gave them confidence. It gave them a feeling that they're not the only ones that are going through that journey, exploring what it looks like to be on this side, you know, and looking back and being so grateful for where they were, and so grateful for where they are, and then also just thinking through of like, what are the next steps to come. And I am in awe and just have the most admiration for the women who were sitting up on that panel who very vulnerably shared. And it was a beautiful moment to experience. It was the first time we've done something like this, and we will definitely continue to do the women's panel again.
Yeah, it was amazing. So if you had to describe the energy of this year's summit in one word, what would it be and why?
Oh, one word. Energetic would probably be the word. There was so much energy, and it's so fun. Yeah, and I love that you asked that question because women who have been coming for a while, we all kind of know what to expect with the dance party and getting to know one another. But I would say the women, like if it's their first time, we do share a little bit ahead of time so they're not completely surprised. But I think when they show up and they walk into that room and they're like, oh, it is like a real dance party, and it's really electric. I think electric would be the word that I would use, because
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were on fire, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. And I know it was your first time. Would you agree with it too?
Oh, so wholeheartedly. Yes. It was.
And we even told you there would be a dance party.
And I still didn't imagine what it was. So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love to have fun. And that's what I love about this group. We love to have fun, but we love to be, get in there and get the serious information, but have fun while we're doing it.
So Kristie, listening to you, it's clear that Summit wasn't just an event. It's part of a much bigger story that you've been building for years.
Take us back to the beginning. What first sparked the idea for FEM Summit?
Oh, that's such a great question. I had heard, but had never gotten to experience for myself any type of like leadership retreat where, you went off with your peers and got to experience and learn with one another. And we had done, I'd gone to a couple of different events. And obviously I've spent years and years and years going to different conferences. But when I thought about like, I want to create a space where women feel like they can, just pour their hearts out and be able to share where they are in their journey, both, personally and professionally, and where their business is, and that they can learn from one another. And so I just had this deep desire to create a space where we could come together in an intimate event and not just running from one place to the next, but getting to sit with one another and having conversation and knowing that the person across from you, like you're going to get to know them as well. So you don't feel alone, like, oh, I'm just sharing this with a complete stranger. And I think that's one of the things that I love the most is we hear so many times people say, I get to FEM Summit and I don't know anybody. It's my first time. And I do feel like everybody's strangers, but by the time they leave, they feel like they've got 123 new best friends, right? And that's, to me, that is what we've created. And that's what I really wanted. I wanted a space for women to truly connect with one another, learn together deeply, but those connections where I walk away from this event and I know I can call up, 5 or 10 people. I have a choice of 5 or 10 people that I can reach out to. And I know they genuinely care about me and they will take that call and they'll sit with me and talk me through something. And that's definitely what we have seen. So I'm super excited about it.
Awesome. Kristie, when you look back to the first spark compared to this last week, how has HERverse evolved?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's so funny because when we talk about the very first one, it was very much so a retreat feel, right? I had 11 women that just boldly trusted me and followed me into the woods, literally into the backwoods. And it was just a big, huge, like this barn house that we had rented. And we all got to sleep in the same space and we got to learn with one another. There was a big fireplace that was burning where we had session. We went outside and we had sessions, and it was these deep, intimate moments. And now, we've been able to take that and keeping the integrity of very intentional relationships, deep relationships, but grow it to where we have roughly 125 to 150 women that come each year, but still keeping that intimacy was so important to me. And we've found ways to be able to do that. So even though we've grown and made it bigger, we've kept that same intentionality, and just brought more women in, welcomed them with open, with more speakers that are able to share. We're learning more, and so it's growing and developing in that way while still keeping the core intention.
That's awesome. Well, and speaking of that intention, one thing I love about Herverse is how it celebrates the kind of leadership that often goes unseen. The women holding it all together behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So Kristie, what does power from the second in command seat look like to you?
I love that you asked that. I think power from the second in command seat really truly is being able to own our seats, right? We know our list of responsibilities that we have, but being able to really truly lean into it and be able to run the business, work with the visionary, work with the leadership team to make all the dreams come true. But being able to do it in a powerful way means that you know and understand yourself and the leader that you are, so that you show up as your absolute best. And ultimately, when you show up as your best, you're leaning into that leadership, you're elevating everyone around you and bringing out their best as well. So I would definitely say that's what it means to me.
So what would you say are some misconceptions people have about being that number two?
I think sometimes I hear things like, you are second, right? Or you're subordinate or less than. And I would absolutely say, no, ma'am. No, this is a powerhouse seat in its own. You are not an assistant to someone else. This is not a role that is an afterthought. This is a role that truly sits in a power seat where you really get to run the organization, right? So you get to take that vision from the visionary and break it down into pieces, prioritize, and really make sure we're moving in the best interest of the organization with all of the leadership team members, keeping everything in alignment, keeping everyone motivated and encouraged to keep doing their best, growing them and developing them. That is under no circumstances any type of less than or subordinate position. It is a power role in itself. And it is absolutely fun, and it's beautiful to watch people do it well.
So how are women in this role redefining leadership for the next generation?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Especially because we had that amazing keynote where Karen McCullough talked about, multi-generational. So how are we preparing ourselves the next round of leaders?
Yeah, I think it's fun. And I think it's really interesting too, just kind of where we are in the generational aspect, right? Gen X and millennials are primarily sitting in leadership now, and watching and just seeing them grow into their own and really be able to take ownership of their leadership has been really, really powerful in my opinion. And I love how we're really nurturing and preparing the next generations, right? Especially when we talk to Karen talks so much about Gen Z and how they really truly are looking to us for experiences and guidance and leadership. And I think that was really interesting to think about. So I think that this particular generation is really truly able to step into a position that we haven't been in a long time. Technology has been part of our world since we were in high school and middle school, and some of us even elementary school. And so technology has always been such a big place for us. But yet we have new technology that's coming, right? AI, we don't know how it's going to completely going to shape the world in the future. So I think right now we just have this huge opportunity to really nurture and guide the generations that are coming up next, while also being able to shape the future with the technology that's coming. And we really truly just don't know where it's going to lead. And so we're in this place of really being in that position. It's kind of fun, a lot of fun.
So building a community like this inevitably changes the person leading it.
And we know that you've been in the integrator role in that seat and now leading a fast growing movement. What have you learned about yourself as a leader through this journey?
It's really funny because when I started FEM, I think I look back and realize that I was in a place of needing this community probably the most. I needed to be surrounded by women who were in really owning their role in that power place, and really being able to just learn and develop from them. And I think looking back on it now, it's fun and it's interesting to see how I was such a young integrator in my own self, and how I really grew. And it was the power of this community that helped me like skyrocket my learning. And I was able to learn at a much faster pace instead of just trial and error on my own. I could go to a group of people and say, hey, share with me what you know about this. How have you grown and how have you developed from that? So my own growth just like skyrocketed. But I think there was a really pivotal moment for me when I realized, and so many had said it to me previously, that wow, Kristie, you do realize you're visionary, right? I mean, you're a wonderful integrator, but you do realize you have a lot of visionary in you. And I always pushed back at that, and I was like, no, 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 I am an integrator. I am an integrator. I am an integrator. And so to answer your question very directly, I think that was the pivotal moment for me of realizing that I was a visionary leader and that it was okay for me to be that. I did not have to be the stereotypical visionary that is, kind of the persona that's out there. And some of the negative attributes is what really kept me from owning that. But what I realize now is whether I'm a visionary leader or I'm an integrator leader, I get to choose what that looks like for me. Right. And I don't know that I necessarily felt that in the beginning. I felt like, here's the integrator role. Here's how it's defined. Here's what you do. But I get to bring myself to it. And so me being an integrator is very different than what another integrator looks like. And it doesn't make any of us right versus wrong. It makes us beautiful in our position of leadership.
I love that so much. But I am going to take it a bit further and ask you, how has building Herverse stretched or reshaped you personally?
Yeah, I will tell you, I being in the integrator seat, I was a partner of the firm that I was at. And so I've had ownership responsibilities before, but now with Herverse, I'm fully sitting in the ownership seat. And so entrepreneurship is a roller coaster of all kinds of emotions, and day to day is different. And so I think that is the one thing that I'm really learning and growing in, is how I'm a very structured person. And I try to prepare and set up my days in advance so that I'm get in and I'm ready to go. But being an entrepreneur really does require flexibility. You just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis, and you need to be prepared for it all. And so I love that I'm getting to stretch and grow in that way, and become a little bit more flexible, and just reading the space and what is needed of externally and internally. Sometimes my own self of, hey, what do you need today? And it's okay for me to step back if I need to, and take care of me.
Beautiful. Yes. So good. So good. So relatable. So good. So good.
So after a conference like the FEM Summit, it's impossible not to think about what comes next. What is the ripple effect of everything that you've been building and you've built?
What do you hope continues to ripple out from this summit?
Oh, that's a really powerful question. I'll start by answering it this way. What we have seen happen in the past is how it has truly changed people and their perspective, and that they're growing and really stretching themselves, to use your words. And there was one particular story that just touches my heart every time I hear it, because you hear me say it at the end of every episode, is being able to look back at, and honoring women of a past generation, being able to empower women of the current generation that's leading and guiding today, but then also inspiring the future generation. And it was in Nashville 3 years ago, that I had a woman walk up to me and she said, I left my daughter, today's her birthday, and I was able to celebrate with her. One second. Rowdy coworker, ma'am. Down. Thank you. Rowdy coworker. But anyway, I had a member that came up to me and said, she had left her daughter at home for her birthday. They had celebrated the weekend before, and they were going to do more celebrations the weekend after. But she shared with me this moment that she had where her mom called her daughter. There's all three generations, right? Past, current, and future generation. And the grandmother was calling to tell the granddaughter happy birthday. And she said, how old are you? And the daughter said, I am 3, and I am powerful, and I am bold. And she started saying all of the things she was. And that was just a moment for me where I realized, wow, the impact that this group is having, it goes well beyond what is literally happening inside of the summit. It is really truly having generational impact. And I think that's what I'm really grateful for the most, is that, this is something that when we're walking away from this, whether we realize it or not, whether it is women that are in our businesses or our daughters or nieces or anyone else in our family, they're witnessing it. They're seeing how we're leading and how we're doing things, and it is going to have an impact on them. And I think that is just absolutely incredible.
So, Kristie, you mentioned honoring women of a past generation. What woman of a past generation are you honoring with the work that you're doing?
I knew you would make me cry.
I'm not going to do it.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's my grandmother. My Mimi was my whole world. I had the honor of growing up with her. And if you don't know her story, first of all, her name is Patty Milton. It is so important to me that her name is said out loud. She was about 6 months old when she lost her hearing. She had high fever, and back in the 30s, in the 1930s, that it was very dangerous when a child had high fevers, and it caused her to completely lose her hearing. She did not hear anything at all, and she lived in this beautiful world in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where, first of all, it was just more challenging to be a woman. We didn't have nearly as many rights as we do now. And but to be a woman with a disability, that was it was really hard. And I watched her, even in her 40s and 50s and 60s, she just overcame everything. And she did it with the power of community. She helped establish what is referred to as the Oklahoma City Association of the Deaf. It's a deaf community that gathers together, and they still do it to this day. Where they get together and they help one another. They're being in community and really helping one another grow and develop. They answer each other's questions. They do the same thing we're doing in just a completely different way. But I watched my grandmother and her best friend. They would go on. They would reach out to anyone and everyone who would listen. They were part of the movement that got closed captioning put on TVs. They were the ones that helped get interpreters brought in to be able to assist and help each other. And for me, watching her and knowing that she was part of that for her community meant so much to me. And so to be able to carry that on in my own way, I just want to honor her in that way. I want to continue her legacy.
I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Really.
What's one thing you do at that you do or wear to a conference that helps you remind yourself of your Mimi?
Great question. I always remember her when we were at, the deaf community every week. She would just take this brief moment and kind of step back, and you could just see her kind of looking over the community and just making sure everyone was taken care of, and but also just being observant. And there's at least once every conference I try to do that too. I try to just step into the corner and just look out and realize, wow, this is happening because these incredible women are coming together, and the power of what they are doing with one another is incredible. And on a daily basis, I wear red lipstick to remind myself of her and her power and how bold and beautiful she was. She always wore this beautiful red lipstick, and I carry that on with me, and carry her through with me through that way.
I love that so much, so much. I hope your community gets to learn from that story too, because I don't think everybody knows why you wear the red lipstick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of community, how do you want women to feel when they think of Herverse a year from now?
I love that. I want women to feel like they, first and foremost, like they belong here, that they have a seat at the table, that this is a group of peers that are coming together to truly support and encourage and be there for one another. These women are truly like authentic and genuine women who like truly care. They will follow up with you. If you ask for an accountability partner, they will raise their hand. Whatever you need, this community is there. And someone has the experience of something you're going through or have been through. And one of the things that I hear a lot is women who say, I thought I was joining this community so that I could learn, right? I was expecting to receive and receive and receive. And I was hopeful that maybe somewhere 5 or 10 years down the line, when I have some experience and am able to do things, that I'll be able to give at that point. But the beauty of this community is we all have different experiences. We all have different things that we have gone through. So there is literally day one where women are receiving. I'm asking a question. I'm asking for advice. I'm reaching out for someone to help me with something. But in the next sentence, I'm also able to share and give you, something that I've brought with me to the table. So it's such a beautiful give and receive community.
And of course, Kristie, what's next for Herverse and you personally?
Oh, I love that. So I think there's two big things that come to mind for me. Number one is that we are launching our in-person masterminds. I'm so excited about this. If you are familiar with EO or Vistage or YPO or some of those groups, this is what that particular group is going to be like. So we have 6 to 8 women that get together on a monthly basis. They spend about 4 hours together. And we've spent the last 4 years developing this agenda to make sure it was really the right agenda for integrators. And they're going to be able to sit down with one another. They're going to do deep dive check-ins with one another, holding each other accountable. Hey, last meeting, you said you were going to get this done. Did you get that done? But then they're also going to be able to sit in what we call hot seats. And those hot seats are 45 minutes. Bring your biggest issue, your biggest opportunity, your biggest challenge, whatever it may be, and let us help you with it. And I think I've seen this happen so many times, but there's always 2 stories that really stand out to me when it comes to this particular part of the agenda, where women are coming to the table and they're like, I'm bringing this, and I'm not so sure how much help I'm going to get here. And then it's like this transformational moment for them. I'll never forget one woman who brought to the table, she was like, I think there's something wrong with my interviewing process. I'm not getting like the candidates that I'm wanting to get. I'm hiring the best of the best candidates, but I'm not getting the quality candidate that I want. So we, of course, dove into her interviewing process and what it looked like and what questions was she asking. But then somebody said, wait a minute, if you're not getting the quality candidates, they're already there at the interviewing process. What does it look like before that? And we started asking questions about, where are you posting, and what does the job description look like? And, is it attracting and repelling? And all of these questions, we dove deep into it. We spent 45 minutes diving deep into that. And then she came back a couple of months later and she was like, hey, of course she'd been showing up every month, but a couple of months later, she said, hey, I just want to share with you all, like I took all of these things that we talked about, reshaped my entire process, reshaped my entire job description. I redid my website where we attract people into the organization. Here's all the changes that I made. And oh, by the way, I ended up hiring not just one, but two people using this new process, and the quality of the candidates skyrocketed. And I was able to get two people in that worked brilliantly. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful way for us to be able to do that, because we could have stopped at the interviewing process. Right. But that wasn't enough for us. We wanted to go deeper, and we were able to really help her with that. On the other side, there's some women that we're seeing that are going through very personal things. So yes, we primarily focus on professional, but our personal lives bleed into our professional all the time. And, we had one woman who showed up and said, hey, I've been married for decades, and I think I'm getting divorced. I don't think my husband and I are compatible anymore. And we were able to just sit with her in that and let her share, let her get what she needed, which was just to get all of this out. And then from there, we were able to back in and really ask her some powerful questions around, is that what she wanted? Where was she, and how was she? And luckily I still know her today. And, her and her husband have gone through counseling and have spent the last couple of years really reconciling their marriage. And it is stronger than it has ever been. But to be able to sit with her in those moments of, is that what you want? Like, what do you want? And then of course we also, if that is the direction that the marriage ends up going, we were able to provide her some advice and some tips and things on making sure she protected herself. And so it was just this beautiful moment that I think in the moment she thought she was going to ask a question and we were all going to, just be there for support. But then we were able to pour so deeply into her. And it was just beautiful to witness. So that's one big thing that's coming up is the masterminds. And then the second big thing is, of course, we're doing Summit again next year. And I'm so excited. We are going to be in New Orleans next year. All of our speakers are already selected. Stephanie Day is going to be our MC. Myself and Jennifer Miller are going to open and close with keynotes. And we have powerhouse women. Heather, you're leading a breakout session. Angie Dianetti. We have Haley Nogler, Haley Plaster. There is a plethora of women that are just going to pour into this community again. And I'm so excited about it. So excited about it.
I'm so excited. And the masquerade ball is always going to be, there's always the FEMI Awards, which is a beautiful opportunity to celebrate second in command leaders. And you always have fun themes for that too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The FEMIs this year were so much fun. Denim and diamonds was our theme. And, watching women show up however they're comfortable is always so fun. And being able to explore what their interpretation of denim and diamonds was super cool. So some people in jeans and beautiful sparkly shirts, and then others wore formal dresses with denim jackets. It was so much fun. And yes, Heather, you're right. I'm super excited about next year's theme. It's going to be a jazz theme, but it's a masquerade ball. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
So Kristie, before we close this conversation and the podcast season with ConvHERsations with Kristie, we'd love to give you the floor.
What message do you want to leave the women who've been walking beside you this season, especially those who are quietly holding everything together as number 2 or integrator, second in command?
Yeah. I think there's two things for me that really kind of stand out, probably a third too. One is just pure gratitude. The Herverse team and all of the women in Alliance and in different areas of my life have just been so supportive in many, many ways. Some of them, getting ready to leave and head down to Houston for Summit this year. I received so many messages, just text saying, cheering you on and wishing you well. Hope everything is fantastic. And those moments for me, there's so much support and love. You took the time out of your day to send that to me. It just means the world to me. So I really truly feel like my heart is just overwhelmed with gratitude right now. This team has rallied, and we've made, the big announcement and the change to masterminds, which we are just elated for. And the team, I was so worried that they would be like, oh my goodness, what are we doing, changing something? But instead they were like, this is incredible. And they rallied behind it, and they've all poured their hearts and souls into it. So the Herverse team, the Alumni Alliance, and just all of the women, and there's way too many to name individually, that have just supported and loved so much this year. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for that. To the women who are leading in the second in command role, we talked about this a little bit at Summit this year, where, do you feel like you're just barely keeping it together and just surviving, or are you thriving and really truly able to own your role? And I would just encourage you that if you're surviving is, being able to really to reach out, let us support you, let us help you through it, because we want to see you thrive. We want to see you be able to step boldly into your leadership, use your voice, know who you are as a leader, and truly, truly just own that. And there's one thing that I just cannot go without saying. I'm hearing it so much recently around people saying, in order to be successful, I have to. And they insert all of these things. And I just want you to pause and reflect and realize that you are successful right now in what you're doing. It may not be the ultimate success that you're looking for, but really, truly just pause for a brief moment. Take a deep breath and look around the room. There are so many things that you have accomplished. There are so many things that you should be celebrating. There are so many things that you really, truly just need to recognize as an accomplishment, because all the things that you have done to get you this far, man, those things are worth celebrating. And if you're continuing your path and you're trying to achieve more things, then I just want you to know that I'm cheering you on every single step of the way, whatever that may look like. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can always, call me or email me, text me, and let me know where you're at and how we can support you, because we truly want to be there for you.
Steve, thank you. Not just for this conversation, but for the community and the courage that you've built through both Herverse and the FEM Summit.
Yes. And to every listener, may we remember that leadership isn't always about being first. Sometimes the most powerful position is the one that holds everything together.
This has been such a beautiful way to close out your season of Conversations with Kristie, celebrating, reflecting, storytelling, and sisterhood. So until next time, keep leading with heart.
And thank you.
Thank you all for interviewing me. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of ConvHERsations with Kristie. I hope you're walking away with a few nuggets of inspiration, maybe a new perspective, or just a reminder that you're not alone in your leadership journey. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, drop us a comment, or tag us with your favorite takeaway. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leading with heart, and keep building the kind of life and leadership that feels true to you. I'll see you in the next ConvHERsation.